So I'm live, right?
Yes, Mr. Joel, you're live. Thank you for coming to Chicago in the virtual way.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the session. We're talking about using SharePoint Syntex in real life. I want this to be a very interactive session where we actually dig into the SharePoint Syntex. And I think that you may have seen videos from the product team. I want this one to feel as real as possible and applicable as possible. So we're going to make this interactive as I can. And I also want to pitch the fact that I'm actually doing a 4-hour hands-on session for the upcoming Microsoft 365 conference online in December, in mid-December. So highly encourage you, if you want to get even more hands-on, where we're actually do hands-on labs, step-by-step stuff. Definitely pitch that as well. So a little about myself. My name is Joel Oleson. I work for, sorry, one second. I work for Proficient. And, before I even dig into who I am, I do want to show our track sponsor video, and then we'll get started. And thanks to QuizCom for sponsoring this track.
Do you face daily challenges while working in SharePoint? Would you like to automate processes, save time, and work more efficiently without having to rely on power users? You can! QuizCom is your one-stop solution for all your SharePoint needs. With 10,000 plus clients and over 70 SharePoint and Office 365 products, we offer a solution for any SharePoint requirement. Let's take a glance at a few of our products. No-code, smart, and secured forms. User-friendly and highly customizable organization charts. Data aggregation across your SharePoint Online Tenant and MS Graph API. SharePoint and Exchange Online Calendar aggregation. One-click convert to PDF and print. When using a third-party app, have you ever wondered how secured your data is when it's processed on a vendor's cloud server? All QuizCom apps are SharePoint hosted apps, which means your data never leaves your tenant. Discover how QuizCom can solve your SharePoint frustrations. Go to www.quizcom.com today and try out any QuizCom product for free.
Nice. Yeah, thanks again to our sponsor, QuizCom, for this track.
Do you face daily?
Yeah, so a little about myself. I'm a Microsoft MVP, regional director. If you're not sure what those are, definitely check it out. These are community awards recognizing the contributions. And, there's some fabulous MVPs in the Chicago area. You probably see them if you're involved in any of the user groups, but highly encourage you to get involved. And I know a lot of these things are actually still happening while we're working at home. Lots of virtual ways to connect. And one of the fabulous things about this virtual time is the fact that you can pretty much go to any virtual user group around the world. So if you wanted to join our meetings in California, you actually could. Anyway. A last little thing about me, I love to travel. Those who come to my sessions know I love to talk about where I went last. This is actually the longest period of time I've been grounded. In fact, I haven't traveled since February, and my last trip was actually Chicago. I was in Chicago in February and March. Anyway, crazy stuff. My last trip actually was to Syria and Turkey and Saudi Arabia. Pretty wild trip. Saw the Crac de Chevalet castle, and I've got 2 countries left outside of Africa and about 20 countries in Central Africa left. And soon as things let up a little bit, I'll continue my quest to visit every country in the world. Exciting times. And in all this, I love being able to visit the communities around the world and make SharePoint friends in places like Ivory Coast or Rwanda and places like that. Fun times. Anyway, our session today, we're talking about AI. We're talking about what Microsoft's doing with AI in the enterprise and content services. So I want to actually drill into what SharePoint Syntex is, help you understand Project Cortex, this bigger, broader initiative with SharePoint Syntex being the first product of Project Cortex. And then we want to get hands-on. We want to dive into this. And actually, I want to start from a clean, brand new tenant and take you to where you're actually working with it and you're actually able to see real practical application of how you can actually use SharePoint Syntex. And then we're going to do kind of talk about business value and wrap things up. So let's talk about this AI. Now, let me just tell you, humans are horrible at sorting. I don't know if you've ever been to like a cafeteria where they have a couple of bins. Even when they have two bins, there's this question of, is this recyclable? Is this not? And did you know 2/3 of Americans don't even know how to recycle in this study, okay? 53% of people believe that greasy pizza boxes can be recycled. I wasn't sure even when I started reading this. I was like, whoa, pizza boxes? You think, oh, it's cardboard, it's recyclable. I guess apparently if they're soiled, they must not be. 68% of people think that you can recycle used plastic utensils. Apparently you can't recycle those either. 22% of respondents didn't have enough information regarding recycling, and 18% admit they don't understand what can and can't be recycled. And me, after even reading this, I think that absolutely we are not educated on what is recyclable. But even those who try to like, okay, this is a tin can, let me put this in the right place. We try and do things, but we're actually very, very poor. Even lack of information, lack of understanding. And we're talking about maybe trash and a recycle thing. Now imagine putting yourself in the enterprise of sort these things out, and we're just expecting people to understand what to do. It's a disaster. And I think all of us can kind of recognize it's a disaster. Now, AI has been making leaps and bounds in being able to help the humans out in massive projects. One of my favorite projects and kind of showing the applicability here is what's happening with this snowleopard.org project. And AI is actually being used on, there's about 500 square miles where these things live, and they've been endangered, and they're curious how many of them are there, and they've set up 30 to 60 cameras that they continue to move around, and they've captured hundreds of thousands of images across 500 square miles. And you talk about all of these images, and obviously it's not a static set of images. There's more and more coming. So people are spending days swiping through images looking for cats. And that first problem they've been able to solve. Now the cameras are actually recognizing the cats. It's sorting out the ones where there is no cat. And it's not leaves that are blowing, which happened obviously early on. It's not other animals. Now it actually recognizes what is a snow leopard. And it's even recognizing individuals. Imagine looking through hundreds of thousands of photos to try and recognize individuals. It's looking at dot patterns on their backs and things like that. Super powerful. And I know you don't necessarily have snow leopards in your company, but you'd be surprised what kind of content you do have and how AI can actually help you in classifying your content. And I don't think there's anybody who doesn't have thousands of documents. Even as an individual, like I mentioned, I'm a traveler. Guess what? I have, I have like hundreds of thousands, terabytes and terabytes of photos that I've been taking. And that's just one individual. In a company, there are people who are, keeping all their documents, generating documents. And I've got a little video to kind of help you understand what's happening in the enterprise. And yes, this is a bit of a parody, but I hope you enjoy. It's a very short clip.
My name is Pat, and I'm an office hoarder. I like to collect a number of different things. I've been working on this cup collection for a little while. Rock band wigs, baby dolls. It's pretty special.
He needs help.
There's nothing worse than using your office area as a playground for your trash.
Hey Pat, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good. Wow, you got a lot of stuff there.
Thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Pat, it's been brought to my attention, as well as I can see here, that you've kind of got a hoarding problem here.
I wouldn't say I'm more of a collector of things.
I could help you start to get rid of some of the stuff. In fact, right here, right on the top, we've got a note. It's like a to-do list from August of 2006.
I still haven't signed up for Friendster.
What is this? It smells like wet dog hair.
Hands off my wet dog hair sandwich.
Well, what about this? Aren't you a little old for something like that?
You're never too old for rectangle yellow pirate man.
Isn't that SpongeBob SquarePants? You don't even know who that is. But actually, the only thing I see of any value that's nice in here is that picture of you and Melissa.
I don't need that. Let that go.
Well, at least it's a start.
You know, I gotta be honest, it felt really good to let go of something.
I know, it's the first step.
I need help! Help me!
It's okay. That woman gonna make it through.
It took a while, but I convinced Pat to throw away his junk.
Give it. Give it.
It's all right, Pat. It's all right.
I don't need that. I don't.
You're right. We're gonna let that go.
It feels good. Man, it feels good. Good. After everything got cleaned, it was just a great feeling. I feel like a great weight was lifted off of my shoulders. I feel like I can move around again. It's nice.
To celebrate Pat's newly cleaned desk, we decided to have a party for him. And parties mean gifts.
This is for you, Pat. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you, Jerry.
There's a snowboard for you.
Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you. This is awesome.
I got you a mannequin. I found this awesome fan for you.
Thank you, guys.
Good job, Pat.
You know, I really feel like I accomplished something. And it was great for all my friends to come over, and they were really proud of me, and they brought me all these gifts, and it really made me feel like I'm at home.
All right. Crazy times. That's pretty funny stuff. I want to talk to you guys about this whole idea of how hoarding is actually really what's going on in the enterprise. And I'm just going to skip this part. In fact, what we're going to talk about is what are these information management challenges? What is the problem Microsoft's trying to solve here? One of them is the silos of knowledge. Basically, there's all these places where we store our most important information. Well, guess what? It's totally different for every department. There's security around those sites. Whether you're talking about SharePoint or whether you're talking about OneDrive, everybody stores their information differently. And even when you've got actually some really prime content where there's statement of works or your contracts, things like that, those things, obviously they're secured, but the documents are dumped places. Often they're in file shares even. So we're talking about some of the company's most important assets, and they're actually very difficult to find. It's this search and discovery knowledge failure. Part of it is, they're classified incorrectly. Maybe you've got content types and columns, and maybe they're even stored in SharePoint. So even if you're doing a number of things right, there's that problem of capturing ID numbers, capturing some key metadata like keywords. That ability to recover that information becomes really, really difficult. So when we go back to even this hoarding problem, people store all sorts of stuff and they never get rid of it. There's absolutely a hoarding problem that's happening in the enterprise. But even though we have this information overload, it's absolutely information underload from a perspective of these massive gaps. The information that we need often is in people's heads. The true knowledge of the organization is in the heads of the experts. So there's tons of untapped knowledge across the enterprise. And guess what? No matter what industry you're in, there's absolutely a problem of people, we're humans, we die. That's one thing. And I know that's kind of sad, but people retire, people move from job to job, and that knowledge drain is a tragedy for the enterprise. That's some of your best information, and it's actually going out the door for any number of reasons. So how do we actually solve these problems of capturing this explicit or tacit knowledge, both the ones that's in files and the stuff that's not in files? And this is absolutely the information management challenges that Microsoft is focused on. Now, I actually really love this quote because I think it actually gets its arms around the value a little bit. Lou Platt, who was a former CEO of HP, says, if HP knew what HP knows, we would be 3 times more productive. Wow, what does that even mean? If we just knew what we know, I even wonder sometimes if I knew what I knew, how much more productive I'd be. But just being able to capture the knowledge, I think we often forget things, But that aside, there in the enterprise, there's a problem of how do we ramp up the new employees? How do we connect people to experts? How do we connect the content to the experts? So when you actually find a really good source or a really good file, it's who created this? Who's in charge of this project? Who's the project manager? Who's the engineer who worked on this project? This is absolutely organizational intelligence. And the question is, what is the value of that to you? Now, Microsoft has been working furiously. You could say that they have tried to be #1 in AI. And with Azure Cognitive Services, basically you could say that Microsoft has been investing more in AI patents than all the rest of its competitors. There's a furious move toward understanding these Azure Cognitive Services. It's like you're going to build an app. Well, there's amazing things you can do with facial detection or object detection from a vision perspective. We were talking about those the snow leopards. They're absolutely using the object detection in vision types of techniques for being able to find the snow leopards. You've absolutely probably heard about the language stuff that happens on Teams, translation, the language understanding of what is this stuff, summarizing things, super powerful. I can remember when we would upload a bunch of videos and then you're like, how do we find those videos? Well, it's only in the metadata you put on. Well, that's no longer the case because these AI can actually pull in text to speech and speech to text and recognizing faces of speakers and translating what they're saying into whatever our language is. And there's a lot more that's going on there for improving actually what is said, the ability to translate that. And now we even have video search, connectors to all sorts of things, search APIs. And what Microsoft's really been investing in is Microsoft Graph, which is this amazing foundational metadata capture where it connects the people to the files and the knowledge, and being able to connect these things through topic hierarchies, term sets, and all sorts of really cool stuff. So we're talking about is a very powerful layer of Azure Cognitive Services that for anybody who's building applications with Azure can leverage all these amazing cognitive services. Now, you could say that gets quite expensive when you're an organization, you're pushing so much through it, but there's a ton of value here. And how do we put that in the hands of every end user who may not necessarily know how to do development? Well, now you can kind of see where we're getting to. Harnessing this advanced AI around knowledge, automated object detection, knowledge summarization, forms processing, file classification, entity extraction. This is now what machines can do that takes humans a lot of time to say, read a document, write what it's about, tag it, extract all the content out of it. And how much better would it be if you look at 5 documents and say, okay, these ones, if you look at these 5 and you even look at a couple of these negative examples, you're going to understand what this template is, or what this form is, or what this particular statement of work or contract is. So let's dive into this. There's Project Cortex and there's SharePoint Syntex. So overall, there's this initiative at Microsoft called the Project Cortex Initiative. And what we're going to focus on here is what is in red. The little red arrow, it's pointing at a content center. So the content center relies on machine teaching. You can actually, end users can process content. You can do form capture and machine teaching, essentially. And you can kind of see this bigger overarching ability to discover knowledge across Teams, SharePoint, Yammer, Outlook, Office, and so on in this topic-based thing. That's Project Cortex. That's going to continue to be released, where it connects to the graph, leverages AI, and we're absolutely going to be leveraging AI in SharePoint Syntex as well. But don't forget about the aspects of how it connects to Microsoft Search from a front-end perspective, where users are searching for things, and the enhancement, extraction, filtering, grouping that we can do with the content centers. But also when we actually get these powerful topic cards and knowledge centers, topic centers, and so on. And then on the back end, connecting to other data sources where we can pull in other files from Box or Dropbox or Azure Data Lakes or SQL Server or any number of other repositories. And Microsoft's continuing to add data sources. Right now, there's already 7 connectors, and there's another 30 that they're actually working on, and partners are working on hundreds of them that have also been released. So what's SharePoint Syntex? It's content understanding, content processing. It's about compliance. And you can go read this stuff on the website, aka.ms/SharePoint Syntex. Or if you want to read more about Project Cortex, it's aka.ms/Project Cortex. I've got links at the end here, but kind of high level about Syntex. It's about content understanding. It's about automated content classification, AI-powered machine teaching and content processing. For $5 a user a month, people are wondering how much is this? $5. And on day one, you obviously don't need to give this to everybody. And in fact, you can actually sign up for a trial for free. And that's actually what we're going to do next. We'll come back to this. So let's jump into a tenant here. And yes, okay. So check this out. I have just created a brand new tenant. And what we're going to do Sorry about that. Okay, I want to show you a couple resources. First thing is right in docs.microsoft.com, there is this content understanding, setting up content understanding. So there's like setting up from administration perspective, there's these content services. One thing I'm going to show you here is that you can actually go demo.microsoft.com and your partners can set this up for you if you don't have access to this. This is something that's set up for partners. MVPs have access to this as well. It's the cdx.transform.microsoft.com. So basically what we can do here is we can go to my environments and you can see I've created a couple of tenants. Now I purposely chose the Dynamics 365 and check this out. I can create a brand new tenant in North America. And what the one I've been choosing for my demos is using this Dynamics one because it already has an E5 on it, and it already has an environment because it has a sample Dynamics 365 on it. So it has a lot of the base level CDX or CDS that's already been provisioned. And that quick, I've actually got a brand new Microsoft 365 tenant, and we're going to copy this first, the email. So basically what I'm going to do is I've got this brand new browser ready to go. We're going to sign in here with a brand new account here. Log in with this new admin account. We're going to grab that password. Yeah, it doesn't matter here. All right. So we are in a brand new Microsoft 365 tenant. And obviously, yeah, all this fun stuff. So we're going to jump into the admin side of this. How do we set up SharePoint Syntex, right? If you go to setup, what you're going to notice there's a bunch of, this is where the license things are going to show up. So we have apps and updates, data migration, privacy compliance. So right now there is no SharePoint Syntex here at all. There's nothing about content services or intelligent storage or whatever. What we need to do is we need to go out to aka.ms/SharePoint Syntex. And this is the place where it has all the resources for SharePoint Syntex. But you'll notice the see plans and pricing, you can click on that, or even the get it now, see plans and pricing. And you can buy it, or you can click free trial. And what it's going to do is it's going to ask me to log in with my Microsoft 365 account. And look, check it out. So we are setting up SharePoint Syntex trial for 1 month term, 25 users. All right, let's try it out. And now we've got it. Okay. And then it says assign them to the users using the user page. Okay, let's do that. Don't worry about this. Let's go back here. Okay, we're going to go back into our Office Admin Center now, and if we refresh this page, scroll all the way to the bottom, we have a new one. Check it out. Automated content understanding. So we have a new capability for our tenant. So we can set up automated content understanding and check out the user impact. In OneDrive and in SharePoint document libraries, users will be able to see descriptive tags in the files for scanned and uploaded images. They'll also be able to search for files based on text extracted from images and PDFs. In SharePoint libraries, people will be able to see a new automate menu where they can create and apply form processing models. In content centers, users can create content document understanding models. Really powerful, exciting stuff. You know, what do we do after we've moved all our data to SharePoint? Well, now there's a really important answer to that. Well, we extract the metadata and we set up classification and we plug all that data to take advantage of search so that we can extract data out of our images and our videos and out of our files that are being uploaded. And we need to teach the system how to do it. Super powerful. So let's get started. So the first question is, where do we want it? Well, I think if this was a trial, I would do it on one, but because this is a tenant where I want it to be everywhere, I want to roll this out to my enterprise, you know, in quotes, I'm going to choose libraries in all SharePoint sites. I'm going to create the main content center, and you can have many of these. And now we're getting our content center. The name is available. And let's go ahead and activate this thing. So basically now we are adding a content center, and that's where it really, the rubber meets the road as soon as we got that content center. That's kind of a major milestone where you can really start to see the power of SharePoint Syntex. So any second now, this actually doesn't really take that long, but essentially it's provisioning the new content center. After this content center is provisioned, then we will actually be able to create more content centers if we want to. But what this does is it gives us the ability to set up machine teaching models, to set up the extraction. We can upload sample files. It really gives us that ability to then be able to start working with SharePoint Syntex. And this will take, doesn't take very long. Within like a couple minutes, this thing will be provisioned. And then I want to show you one of the key things here is, if you've got a bunch of contracts or you've got a bunch of statement of works or you've got some forms that are consistent standards, what's really kind of cool here is Microsoft has actually created a sample set of documents and some sample extractors and classifiers that you can actually use right in your trial. So anytime you actually set this up, you'll notice that it's available. Okay, so there's a couple places here. One is you can set up permissions for the content center in active sites. If you click that, it'll take you into active sites. We can now jump into this content center, which we're going to do. And if you get a 404, don't worry. I ran into that the first time. It seems like Microsoft's fixed whatever that was. But now we actually have a content center. Exciting. Now you can see how powerful this looks, where it's, you put in your documents and it highlights things and you can sort it and do automation. Really powerful. We'll do this tour in just a second. I want to help you understand what's on here. Analytics. What has been happening? Files that are processing, what types and content types are being applied and stuff like that. Here we have no models yet, but you can see this is where our models go when they get generated. So we can see a variety of these. One of the first questions you're going to have is, hey, should I have one content center or should I have many? Start with as few as possible. That's a best practice for you. Start with as few as possible. You don't want a ton of these in the beginning. You actually, especially during a trial, sure, you can give one to a department, but you don't want every user having one. You know, if it's a trial, sure, you know, let people kick the tires. But over time, you're going to want to have few of these because of this analytics perspective. You want to know what kind of value you're getting out of this. If it's a department, I understand the value here. Yes, you can hubify this. So this can be a hub. Also, you can attach it to other sites. So this is actually a full on-site collection. Let's see what the capabilities are here in this content center. And you can see it's very wizard-like. It actually kind of walks you through a model. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add files. Okay, these are positive examples. We do need at least one different type, like a negative example. We can classify files, which is basically assigning the content type as an example, which we can enhance in other ways as well. We can train extractors. The extractors are like, say, I want to pull out the customer name, or I want to pull out some keywords. And what's really cool is if you've got your managed metadata, you can actually as well use the extractor and match it up with the content that's actually in your managed metadata, in your term sets. You can say, hey, if I want you to look at this term set, and it only pull in words that are term sets, and it can even use synonyms and pull in the proper term sets for you. Super, super powerful. I think this is actually the moneymaker right here, these extractors. When you want to say, what's the value here? This is a very manual thing without this. And then you can go and apply this to libraries. You can apply this to, now where are your files? Like in this example, we turned it on everywhere. Our ability to apply models now to SharePoint libraries everywhere is a capability. You don't have to have lots of content centers to be able to do that. You can have your few content centers that are managing the core set of extractors and classifiers and building out these models, okay? All right, let's exit the tour. And the first page that I want you to go to is models. Go into models, and Microsoft's left a little Easter egg for you. This little Easter egg that you may quickly not even notice is there's a sample model, okay? There is absolutely a model right in here where if we click import sample model, it's going to give us two different types of files, and you can play with these things. In fact, I would say go kick the tires. We now have a classifier. We also have a bunch of sample files. And if you notice, if it ever gives you an error there when it's setting that up, don't worry. It might be permissions related, but I'm glad it actually succeeded this time. Last time I got an error, but all the files were there. My sample was there as well, so no worries. So we have, it's actually talking us through this. Hey, try get 5 contracts, 5 letters of intent, or 5 product reviews. Or you could even do things like letters that all have some phrases in common, like, Dear Megan, this letter is to inform you. I wonder what that letter is going to inform her. Anyway, those ones, you probably do want to keep those, and you want to know, like, who is this about and all that. Okay. And then we're going to try and identify the type of thing, whether it's a sales contract or a benefits document or things like that, things that are unique about them. And then we also need our labels and the negative examples. And you can read more about training classifiers and extractors. These are absolutely things I would recommend you go spend some time with the first time you're running through, for sure. So now we're actually we're in a real model. This is one that we can go and play with. So check it out. We have some really cool HR benefits documents. We have some statement of works. We have some extractors. So let's see how this works. Let's go ahead and add some, so let's go ahead and start this. Let's add some files. Let's pick 5 samples. Okay, well, they've given us some samples to work with. So let's pull out, in this first example, let's make these 5 examples, these HR benefit documents. And it doesn't matter, you can do 5 or more. And then we need 1 non-example. Well, 5 likes are the benefit documents, and then 1 non is the statement of work. Okay, we add these. And now we're going to train the classifier. So in the training, what we need to do, and you can actually see it's already, check it out. These are our positive examples. This is our negative example. Is this an example? Yes. Is this an example? Yes. So basically you can walk through each of these, and we've basically, you're going to do is you're going to mark the ones that are positive and then mark your one that's negative. You only have to do it on 5 of them, and then you move on to train. So basically that first thing is it's going to do the example. So this one, it's already got some explanations of how to do it because this is our sample. So we've got the model. The model is saying if it contains, we'll open this one up. Contains benefit change notice. Okay, here's benefit change notice, right, in our document. And it's saying, look for that phrase. If you see that phrase, you'll know this is the benefit change notice document. It's actually something unique to this. The statement of work doesn't have change benefit notice in it. Okay. It also has, who's this addressed to, right? We're looking for Clark Truman, right? And then we have, it's also looking for, a benefit package also has a discount percentage. Okay. Now let's go ahead and train the model, and you can see those documents that we marked as positive and negative. Now it's saying, yep, I was able to figure it out based on the rules you set up here, these explanations, and now we can exit training, or we can go try it against unlabeled files. So you can actually go, right now, it's predicting that it's 100% accuracy because it was able to figure out those ones. But the next thing we want to do is we want to create extractors. And you can see some examples of extractors like the date of change. You can imagine the date of change here is one where it's looking for the date. And dates look like there's different kinds of dates. In this example, see, it recognizes this as the date, and so it's like number slash number slash number. So let's go now. So you can kind of see how this is working. So let's exit here. So now what we can do is we're going to go and apply this to a library. So let's go to let's apply it to Content Center. There's already a library called Files, and this Files library doesn't have any documents in it just yet, but let's go out to Files. Let's go to this library that we just applied this model to. And let's upload some of those documents. And so as an example here, I've got a bunch of these statement of works. And I've also got some of those benefit. Let's grab some of these benefits and a couple of the SOWs as well. This is where I wish we had 4 hours together so you can actually see how these things start working. Because when we've now uploaded these documents, we check one and you'll notice a new thing popping up in our library. And even in just plain old SharePoint, we now have these capabilities that light up in our libraries where we can say, you know what, we want you to classify and extract this particular document. And because of those extractors we set up, we should be pulling in the addressee, the discount percentage that person gets, the date of change. And if I had more time, I would teach you how to actually create your own extractors. But absolutely highly recommend you go in and start playing with this stuff, because this is power. This is, hey, we've moved all our data into SharePoint, now what? Well, guess what? This is now what? The other thing that I would say here is notice we actually get our own view. So for every model that you apply, you'll notice that we can actually switch between the all documents view and any new view that's created based on the new classified content. So basically, as soon as this is done, you'll notice this stuff starts extracting and populating. And this is one of our things. This is AI, right? It's actually going to give you how confident it was. We may need to go and retrain it based on some negative samples, or we may need to show it more examples or refine our extractors. I'm going to come back to this because it looks like it's taken a minute. So let's jump back in to our deck for a second. We'll come back to the baked cake. There's different roles, okay? There's the person who sets up the license and assigns licenses. We didn't dig too much individually into the user licenses because I'm a tenant admin. I was able to go set all those things up. But absolutely, we could assign licenses to users into the content center, so that who has rights to the content center, who has access to these models. One last thing here as well I wanted to show you, and this will continue to populate. But notice here, in our library, we have something called Power Apps. In fact, actually, let's go back to the All Documents view. Yeah, we can, there's AI Builder and Power Automate. And check it out, we got our content populating too. So it looks like this content's coming in for the various documents now. So let's go back actually to that other view. And you can see, yep, the content's coming in. Okay. So one quick thing here, AI Builder allows you to create a model to process forms as well. So if you want to do the super powerful one where you're doing images like PDFs and being able to identify on the document, that's another kind of cool one to do in AI Builder. And it's another set of licensing for the AI Builder, and if you're going to be using those models for forms processing. So basically, you will need to set up the database if you haven't. In this example, we actually have this CRM database, so I kind of can cheat a little bit. So I can jump into an environment. Then in AI Builder, I can go build out an extractor from AI Builder. So there's category classifications, entity extractors, object detection. If you want to count or recognize things in images, or you want to process an electronic form, this is where it starts to really get powerful. So one quick thing here, bring AI to your apps today. AI Builder free trial. Once you've got your environment set up and the license applied properly, we can actually start a free trial right from here. Now we have access to the premium features, so I can do the AI model. You would say this is like SOW or whatever. And here we need some examples. These need to be images. This is not Word docs. These are JPEGs, PDFs, and so on. So basically, we can then set up our extractors and so on from here. But I'm running out low on time. So anyway, subject matter experts, knowledge managers, content services admins. Are these your SharePoint people? They may or may not be in your organization. You need to figure out. Often these may be people who are actually in the line of business, but the person who's assigning licenses, absolutely, these are your tenant admins. You saw some of what we were doing in terms of getting this thing set up and provisioned, but highly encourage you to try that 30-day trial. If you're wondering, hey, where did you get all this knowledge in terms of setting these things up? Check out Agnes Molnar's How to Set Up SharePoint Syntex. Basically what you saw today was me kind of running through what you would see there. There's some really good stuff in the comments as well if you run into to licensing issues. There's a step-by-step by Sean Squires from the product team. It's a 40-minute video where he dives in to set up some classification. They kind of talk through it. There's the SharePoint Syntex and Project Cortex URLs. And that massive library, this is very valuable, where it goes into how-to around SharePoint Syntex. So I actually put an infographic together to understand kind of like this machine teaching side of the house. This is what's happening: training, classifying, modeling, automating, managing. That's absolutely the content centers. The thing that's coming with Project Cortex is our ability to do machine learning, where it's actually clustering into topics and it's grouping them. So you can say, these are your projects and stuff like that. There's a lot of value here. I tried to capture kind of 7 key business value around streamlining business processes, discovering information, harnessing collective knowledge with AI. A lot of really cool stuff. Don't forget the search connectors, and absolutely Azure is a big part of this, taking advantage of the Power Platform. You don't need any special Azure licensing, but for AI Builder, you do need the AI Builder credits, and you need the SharePoint Syntex, either the trial or a license for that, which is $5 a user a month, minimum. I think it's minimum 25 users or minimum 5 users, something like that. As an example, this is what I was talking about in terms of clustering and topics. This is the thing that's coming soon. This ability to have knowledge centers or topic centers. And I mentioned the workshop. So I'm going to end here and open it up for questions. Go to virtual.m365conf.com and use discount code Oleson, and we can actually spend 4 hours together instead of the 45 minutes or so that we had today. Happy to connect with you on LinkedIn, find me on Twitter, send me an email, happy to follow up. Great to be here in Chicago virtually this morning. And with that, I will jump into the chat and see if there's any questions, or if the moderator wants to ask questions, whatever is going on here. So thanks again for everybody attending this session. And I am now monitoring the questions. Okay. Is the $5 a month for users who add docs to a library with a model attached? No, the $5 a month is for the people who actually create the models, create the extractors, create the classifiers in the content center. So not everybody has to have the SharePoint Syntex license. And that was actually a follow-up question somebody else asked, was who needs to be licensed to use this feature? When we go back to those roles in our deck of like who needs what, basically these knowledge managers responsible for the quality of information, they're selecting resources to be mined, the structure and visibility of the knowledge. These guys need to be licensed for Project Cortex. Those people who are creating the classifiers, the extractors, training the models, they're using AI Builder, they're going to need AI Builder credits to be able to process the information. And I'm going to publish those questions, yeah. Let's see what else we got. Okay, I think with that, if I don't see any other questions, everybody have a great day there in Chicago and the surrounding, or wherever in the world you are. It's great to be with you. Namaste. Have a great day. Bye. If you're looking for the slide deck, I will be uploading it to SlideShare. I'll put that in the chat as well. And find me on Twitter. I'll tweet it as well. And one last thing, I will absolutely highly recommend everybody go out to a couple of those URLs that I mentioned. Yes, I'll put those up for a second. I really did feel like this resource, which was very hidden and kind of hard to find, check this one out and check this one out. That first one, this setup content understanding, very, very valuable library that was super hard to find. You know, I fired this up on October 1st, trying to find any information that Microsoft had shared, and it was a little bit tough in the beginning. So check this out. Create a classifier, create an extractor, apply a model. You know, I talked about the power of the taxonomy and term store. Yeah, when you get some seconds and you're really diving into this, this is the godsend. This is the killer feature. Leverage the term store taxonomy when creating an extractor. This is it right here. You're looking for where's the meat and potatoes. This is it. Term store taxonomy when creating an extractor. And we will cover this in the hands-on lab in December. Anyway, thanks again. Bye, everybody.